It's Saturday on Melrose Mountain in Tryon, North Carolina at higher ground, and it's a beautiful day outside. Very, very pleasant temperatures and beautiful sunlight day. Started out a little bit overcast, but it's really turned out to be a nice day. We're in Mark chapter 9. I wonder, as you think about great evangelists, great speakers, who your favorite is. Some have, like the oldies, Spurgeon and Criswell, and some of the ones that go back a number of years. Some like the people like Adrian Rogers and Ron Dunn and Bill Stafford, Junior Hill, a number of others. Of course, there's always the large group that say that Billy Graham was the greatest evangelist in our lifetime, and probably some truth to that as well. I heard a funny story one time about a preacher who had just preached a pretty good message, but he said to his wife as they were coming home from the church, how many great evangelists, how many great preachers do you really think there are in this world? And she stepped to the side and was very silent. So he repeated himself a little louder. He said, how many really great preachers do you think there are in this world? And again, she was very silent. And he finally said, are you listening to me? I asked you who you thought how many great preachers there really are in the world. And she said, I don't know, but there's one less than you think there is. Well, there's probably a lot of truth to that. There's probably a lot of puffed up preachers who think that they're the greatest things in sliced bread, preach the greatest messages, have the greatest insight that nobody else has, and are filled with pride. That's very much the motive of the disciples as they're away from Jesus and they're discussing amongst themselves which one of them is the greatest. Now, this passage is found in Mark chapter 9, beginning at verse 33, but it's also found in Matthew 18 and in Luke chapter 9. And I want to try to marry all of those together so you get a little feel for this particular story. So they're discussing amongst themselves who might be the greatest. And as you mix in the different gospel accounts, Jesus, knowing what was in their hearts, asked them a leading question. What are you talking about? Well, they were pretty embarrassed because they didn't want to say what they were talking about. And it tells us that they kept silent for a time. And then it tells us that Jesus, knowing their heart, continued to give them an explanation as finally the conversation probably turned to who is the greatest in the kingdom. And Jesus took a little child to himself and he said, you've got to receive a child like this in order to even enter into the kingdom of God. You've got to become a child like this to even enter into the kingdom of God. And he says, whoever humbles himself, now that's the opposite of the pride that they were already dealing with, whoever humbles themselves as this child will be the greatest. And whoever receives one like this receives me and the one who sent me. He very clearly was dealing with the pride that was rushing through these disciples, as the story of the preacher who said, I wonder how many great preachers there are in this world. And Jesus probably would like to have settled probably 12 less than you guys think there are. Nevertheless, he was dealing with the pride issue, and he was dealing with how you become great in the kingdom of God. And in Luke chapter 9, it tells us that he says, he who is the least among you shall be the greatest. The one who becomes the servant, the one who is humble and who doesn't get puffed up with pride, the one who's not afraid to be a servant, but looks to how he can serve instead of who can serve him. He's the greatest. It makes us wonder, doesn't it, sometimes when we start patting ourselves on the back for the good things that we've done and perhaps the sacrifices we've made on behalf of the Lord, that maybe we better not get so puffed up with pride, and we might just understand that we are only servants. And if we want to be great in the kingdom of God, we need to be humble, receive everyone as Jesus received the little child, and to be sure that we serve him. And that's our priority, not considering about building a name for ourselves or becoming the greatest in the kingdom of God. That's your thought for the day. Watch your pride. God bless you and have a great day.